So welcome to another Wargame review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today, on this fine sunny day, we're taking a look at Warfighter WWII Pacific
Battle
combat card game.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude.
So, this just came out.
Yep. A couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yes.
Week and a half ago.
But the Warfighter game and system is
Yeah.
not a new game and a new system. It's been around for a while. And there's already an unbelievable amount of this game. Because it's quite simply, it's basically a card game, and there's a few administrative counters.
Mm-hmm.
So effectively, you're using cards to do everything, as you can see all over the board. So with that said, there is a billion expansions for it. I think there's like over 40 card pack expansions.
Yep. And each of those card packs has around 50 cards.
Yeah.
50 to
at
60
least,
cards,
yeah. And so with what I'm saying is there is a ton for this game already, but if you've never played this, or you haven't played for a while, this is a standalone title, and you get everything in this box that you need to play an ungodly amount of times with this game already.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what's really nice about this is, there's 40 plus expansions, but you can play just the base game, or this one, or there's the Warfighter WWII, which is kind of Europe.
Which we don't have.
No. Or there's a modern one as well. Just
Right.
the base game will give you years of play. I'll be honest.
Unreal.
And then you've got all the expansions on top of it, some of which are like just for fun, some of them really do give you like a ton of really cool stuff.
Well, there's a zombies expansion. I mean,
Yeah, like there's,
that's awesome.
it's corny, but it's
Frankly.
fun, right? But then
Well, it
there's
harkens
like... Right, it's a video game.
to Nazi zombies in Call of Duty.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So you can play that on a board with yourself, or there's the tanks expansion where you have like, boom, you get a stack of tanks to deal with.
Which I want to play.
Yeah, those are, and there's
Just because it's
in that
cool.
expansion you get all the anti-tank guns
Yep.
as well, which is exciting. Because normally this is just it's like a tactical level game. You have like a single guy, and you'll have like 3 or 4 of them that form a squad, and you're taking them through a mission that's going to go through X number of kind of phases and spaces to reach an objective. At the objective, you're going to do something, or maybe reaching that objective is all you need because you're trying to run away from someone. But that's really it. You have a single guy, he's got some abilities, a fire value, all this kind of stuff. You're going to deck him out with weapons, maybe some skills that you gain over time, and
Equipment.
some special equipment, yeah.
Canteens.
And then you've got your little
bandages.
subordinate guys, which may not be as good, don't operate as well independently, and you're trying to get your guys through this mission safely and complete your objective. So with that said, we played this cooperative. And I think
You can play this up to 6.
yes, which
I think it's 1 to 6 players.
you could...
It would be mind-boggling to have 6 people.
You'd have just like, everyone controls one guy, basically.
Yeah, right.
Which would be fine. You could do that, no big deal.
Right.
What's nice is you can do that, or you can play this solo. This, I think, is primarily designed as
Be
a solo
played solo.
game.
Yep.
But
Because everything we did cooperatively, you would have, had you been doing it solo, you would have had all the cards that I had and the cards you had.
But they're in separate hands.
Right, they would be separate hands. You would have 2 of the player characters.
Yes,
And then a
probably.
couple of support guys. So you could have done everything that we did together.
Yes.
But it was fun to do together.
Yeah, I enjoy doing
fun.
it because it's less administration for myself. I've only got one hand to deal with. I've got me and a couple guys, and I'm like, oh, I can help you do some other things,
Yeah.
and you're doing the same for me. So that's
Well, and
really
we were
nice
able to
that
talk
way.
through things as well and say, what should we do? At the end, we made a run for it. We both agreed for that. We made a run for it, and we won.
Yeah, but
Luckily.
so playing this with 1 or 2 players, I think that's probably a sweet spot for myself.
I would agree.
I'd play it with more just to see. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to try that this weekend as well.
Yeah,
we're going
we're
to get some
gonna-
more people together
yeah.
and do that. But this is a huge, like, scope and content-wise solitaire game.
It's actually really impressive to see. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I think to see the massive volume is really impressive. We talked about this. We just didn't really know
Yeah.
what it comprised. We didn't really understand how massive it is, and then we got this copy, and it's when you're opening the 44th and the 45th expansion box. Now we didn't get all of those.
No.
But when there are 45 expansions,
Your possibilities are endless.
I mean, you have 3,000 or 4,000 cards, if not more.
And this is a pretty unassuming little box. And
it's a 2-inch box,
full, and it is very heavy.
It needs to be a 3-inch box. And I know they designed the Foot Locker.
Yeah, there's like a big war chest that you can buy where it's got card holders and some
organizers.
In there.
But this needed to at least be a 3-inch box, if not a bigger box like a Gloomhaven.
It's either that or you're expecting to buy deck boxes and deck protectors, those kind of things. I'm sure a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I just don't like that. I've got limited shelf space and I want it all contained.
Yeah.
You know, that's the truth. But once again, back to my comment, it's massive.
It's so cool.
It has so many counters. You would need 2 trays, frankly.
Probably.
So many cards, so many options, so many ways to vary.
Yes.
You play different guys, they have different skills, they have different weapons, they have different equipment. You fight different missions. You can turn around and do it as the Japanese. Like that mission we played, you could do the other side and do the Japanese assaulting Wake Island.
Yes.
Whereas we were just trying to hold off the invasion.
And that's just it. You can play, I can set it up, I'm going to play a single mission. Ooh, did I win? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Or it comes with like, this game, I think there's like 8 or 9 campaigns in it, where you have linked missions, your guys carry over. You gain more and more stuff as you go along, and you get scores at the end.
Yep.
There's also, and in this, although it is a standalone game, it has expansion material for other games in it.
Yes.
This specifically had a bunch of
other nation
European
soldiers,
theater forces,
Polish, English, German, American,
French, yes.
French. It just had a whole bunch of different guys.
And it had some airborne in it.
Which looks so cool.
It was only a few, and I don't know if those go with the airborne expansion, was a whole separate expansion.
Which is another box that I got.
The rules for that are in this.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know, you might be using some of those for some of these campaigns. There's
potentially,
a lot in here.
yeah.
And because this box had a Dunkirk campaign, I think it had a Market Garden campaign as well. Which those are gonna...
Yeah, they're not the Pacific. You have to have the...
I would imagine you have to have stuff.
And maybe those cards, maybe you could play. I don't know. That's something we'll have to look at.
I'm not sure. But maybe.
Once again, this game is really deep, really varied, really big.
Yes.
It's impressive.
Because a single mission, you use 3 or 4 guys, maybe more, but 3 or 4 guys in a mission is pretty average. They get them decked out nicely.
But you could play that very same mission with 3 or 4 other guys, and it would be a completely different experience.
Yes.
I would love to, for instance, they have skills and different abilities. If they had a guy that's more resistant to things like fever, we would have had a lot better time in that mission. But that's the reality. There, man, you could just do so many different options.
And that's,
so cool.
There's just basically, frankly, an infinite replayability. From start to finish. There's a deck of mission cards so you choose which mission type you're doing, and then you're going to pick an objective at the end. That's when you get there, you're going to blow up a building, or you're trying to get onto the boats to
kill
get away,
these guys, or
secure the land and
zone,
take them out. And everything in between that is terrain cards you're moving through different areas, and so your path from start to finish is also going to be different every single time.
Every time. And we chose what sites to play.
That's one of the things I really like.
These are not random. They're random in you can only play what you draw, or what you end up drawing or finding.
Yeah.
But we decided, like, remember the time we had, what did we have? A ravine that had a jungle, or a fever value of 8.
Yeah, like you were going to get dysentery by going through that water at the bottom of the ravine.
But what that means is on a 10-sider, at the beginning of every round, you have to roll it, and you have to get an 8 or higher, which I did. I just passed it.
Yeah.
Or you become suppressed. When you're suppressed, you have to use an action, a very scarce action, to take away that suppression. So it's a matter of, I didn't want to play that. We ended up not playing that site and having to wait a little bit till we found a better site.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
You can either wait by cycling through cards, which costs actions, or...
And time that you don't have, because reinforcements are coming every round.
Or we picked up some binoculars,
Yeah.
which you can use to kind of scout ahead. You can kind of draw a terrain card out of the deck and use that instead.
Yeah.
So the equipment becomes very important situationally, which is just it's just so cool.
Well, and talking about the track of the mission or the terrain cards, I loved the theme of them. You know, deep jungle, really high fever rate. Ravine, no vehicles could go in it. So if we were using tanks in that scenario, you wouldn't be able to use them. Really well done, and it gave you a different feel in every different location. Some areas, reinforcements come really quick. A stream, because why?
They're just coming down the stream.
Well, they're going to get water, and they just, I see some Americans over there. And I think in my mind's eye, I was thinking about all those elements and going, dang, they really put some thought in putting those together. Yes. And that felt really cool. It really did.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask the questions, how does this compare to other solitaire tactical style games?
Like
Fields of Fire is the big one I've heard people, because I like that game. It's very, very good, although it's quite complex.
Or on the less complex end of the scale.
Yeah, Rifles in the Ardennes is like a total redux version of that game, which is also very fun. And this sits very squarely in between those two games, I feel.
Not as complex as Fields of Fire.
No.
But it does have complexity. Scale. Right. But then not as easy or simplified as Rifle in the Ardennes was.
Yeah, Rifle in the Ardennes is...
still a cool game.
Rifle, machine gun, captain, grenadier, basically.
This adds...
you move through terrain, very much like this, where you're moving through kind of regions and they have a defined terrain based on the scenario you're in, trying to do an objective, get it done. That takes like 25 minutes. Very quick to play that game. That's a nice lunchtime game. This gives you much more crunch to it than that. From a picking your equipment out,
and
equipping
weapons.
your guys. There's a lot more realism, I'm going to call it that, in the terrain and how it works. I think in Ardennes, it's just you get a modifier.
It's pretty basic, yeah.
Here you have like an entrance value. To even go into
in
the jungle,
there, you had to discard cards.
Ditch a bunch of cards, which is you hacking through the forest to even get in there. It's very slow going.
Based on the enter value.
Yes.
And some of these entrance values were 4.
Yeah.
So if you had a guy that was really slow moving, there's one that's 5, that jungle. I remember having to try to go into there, but that's very cool. It's very cool the way they did that.
Yeah, and in the the different terrains like you talked about have different reinforcement values.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very remote terrain. You don't have a bunch of guys just wandering through trying to attack you with reinforcements because it's hard for them to get there too.
Yeah. Or they would never go there. There's no reason for them to go there.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought was really cool that lended itself to that realism aspect was, what were these cards called? I can't remember what these...
These were skills. They're just negative skills.
Right, so there were some negative skills, particularly the ones that we encountered were green and panic.
Yes.
Green simply said, you're a new recruit, you're not very good. Ranged fire was at a -1, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're having to roll an 8 to hit... and you're now -1, all of a sudden you're a 9.
Yeah.
The panic value was cool. If someone got downed or killed,
cool.
Yeah, well, it was not cool.
It was crushing at times.
The guy's more inclined to panic and decided,
they see their buddy get shot,
went down,
and
I'm going
to hit the deck.
Put my head down. So you put a suppression marker on him, and getting rid of those suppression markers, take an action.
Yeah.
Or a card, and we didn't have many of those. I think we discarded those early.
Yeah, we used them early on.
But I don't know. I really liked that part of it, and I know that there's more of those. We just didn't encounter all of them. I don't know. Just lots of really cool things. I think I could talk about this game for an hour.
Yeah, it's amazing again how much there is in this. But what's nice is that the rules are pretty plain and clear, and there is a huge play aid card. It's a trifold, double-sided. And it has basically every keyword and every sub rule on it.
I don't remember where we put it, but it's right here.
Yeah, it's very dense, but the reality is if a card says something on it, you just look it up on here. That's what it means. And most everything is on. There's a couple things that aren't, but those are pretty rare. But basically everything else is on there, and it's just. Clears up any ambiguity, or you don't have to remember everything because you just look at the cards. Not a big deal.
Well, and we've played a lot of DVG, other solo games. Generally, their player aids are very, very good.
Yes.
You use them for easy reference. If you have to learn something else about the rule or want to get more depth, you go to the rule book. But yeah, this was great. That was a great trifold thing and had a lot of information on it. All alphabetized, so if you're looking for jams of weapons, you go to the J.
Yeah.
Right there.
The nice thing about this game is that it is not nearly as complex as Fields of Fire, for example. This was easy to learn and set up. I know all the rules. I'm not going to forget any of them when I play.
Right.
Right. Fields of Fire, I'm constantly got my head in that because I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
And that, there you have this whole command structure. It's as complex as literally laying wires for field telephones, if you want to go that deep.
Yeah.
Radio channels, smoke signals. They strip down all this stuff because of the tiny scale that it's on. It's 4 guys. You're keeping in contact.
Mm-hmm.
You move very quickly. The missions progress quickly. But what I loved about Fields of Fire is that it feels so good. The story is so good because it feels very realistic in how it plays out. And I felt this had the same thing.
I agree. This was a very narratively strong game.
The artwork it's all real black and white pictures, historical photos, which I love.
Yep.
That really helps me to connect with the reality of what was going on. You got your 4 guys, they're all named. You could rename them or you name whatever you want. You decked them out with the equipment, you sent them on the mission, you're trying to complete the mission, and it's the realism in the game keeps that feel. I mean, it feels like a great story that's happening. Bullets are whizzing, you can hear them. And that's what I really enjoyed about this. It's a very, very kind of furious fighting game, desperately kind of popping shots and getting into close combat in the jungle. It's great. You feel that in the game.
Yeah. The other thing I liked about this game, the board was really cool. It's huge. It's pretty plain, but I thought they laid it out very well for what you do.
Yeah, it's holding boxes for the cards.
Right,
really.
for the units that come on. But the turn sequence is right there. Makes it easy. It's very understandable. And after one turn, I think we had that down. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. Let's move on. Go to the next step. And very easy to play. Setup is up at the top. I think it helps you understand because there's a lot. The only thing I'm concerned about this, Alexander, is it's a little intimidating with all the different cards.
Yeah.
It really is. There are so many card types here. I'm sitting even thinking, how am I going to get this put away and make sure I have all the cards where they should be? Now their backs are different, right?
Yeah, you've got to make sure that you kind of keep
location,
things
card
in check and keep things organized.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, there was a couple times where we had a card out, and if you weren't really paying attention, you might forget this card effect. We move on a phase, and
crap, we could have got a bonus.
That would have been really important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can roll that back and do this thing and keep going.
Like one time I remember you were like, well, he wouldn't have been able to fire at me then.
Because we would have
that card, we would have fired
first.
So that was, sometimes those things happen in games.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's the only thing with this, is because there's a lot of cards you got to make sure that you keep it organized.
Well,
don't let it get away from you.
Yeah, I think systematic play is the way I would describe this. If you systematically follow religiously the sequence of play, you're not gonna mess up. You're gonna ask yourself, okay, it's blank, the reload phase, and blah blah blah. You do that, and it's like, okay, it's done. Then you move on, and you just got to take your time and scan the battlefield.
Yeah,
you got to read these sites because one of these sites always spawned enemies, no matter what, right? And then we had cards also that reduce their movement values to go into. So you just have to be methodical and systematic about it. And I think if you can do that, this game plays very well.
Yes. Some of the things that I'm excited for looking forward to this game, because this is going to be on my table also very quickly, is some of the expansions that just came out. There's the tanks expansion.
So 2 decks. 2 decks. American tanks and Japanese tanks.
It's got every tank. It's got all the tanks.
Oh, it has like German tanks?
Yeah.
I didn't look through it.
There's like 8 or 9 tanks for each faction. Okay. And then there's 8 or 9 anti-tanks for each faction. Like cannons, recoilless rifles, that kind of thing as well. So there's a ton of stuff in there.
Okay. I didn't look at that one.
The zombies expansion's more of just for fun.
It'll be fun.
I think that'll be funny to play.
Well, there's a huge samurai that's a zombie.
Yeah,
you look at that card and he looks absolutely scary.
That's got some fun stuff to it as well. But the one thing that I thought was really cool is the medals expansion.
Yeah.
Basically, for all the different factions, there's a small deck of like 9 or so cards, and those get played at certain times, and they give you like a mini submission, which is usually quite difficult to do. But if you pull it off, you literally get a sticker to put on the guy who did that, and they get a middle pins to them, and that sticks on them for the rest of the game, and it gives them a bonus. You get a bunch of RPs, and you can permanently upgrade skills and bits
like this one.
that.
Add 10 RP of skills. That's a lot.
10 RP of skills is basically picking up 2 or 3 extra cards for free.
That's impressive. But it's hard. 2 random hostile cards with values of 3+, which means they're, what did you keep calling them? Walking waves of humanity?
Well, one of those was literally called that. That's why I kept saying.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. But 3+, and then you have to eliminate both.
Yeah, basically, one guy pulls out 2 really hard guys, and you got to kill them both.
It's going to be hard.
But you pick up a Medal of Honor.
Yep.
You put it
on your card, and then I guess you realize, I can't get another Medal of Honor. You might be able to get, I don't know, maybe there's different instances.
It's going to be
not
pretty
sure about
rare,
that.
though. But yeah, it's just...
Like you could get multiple silver stars or purple hearts, and I guess you could.
But I just enjoy
that
you get that, especially when you play the campaigns that join to each other. It gives a little mini legacy aspect.
Yep.
We always like that when guys grow and get better, and you bring them back to the table, and they're like kicking ass, fighting crime. That's awesome.
Well, we do like that. It's that leveling up aspect, and this has that.
And I think a lot of solo players who like this kind of game do enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's why we like that.
Well, you could literally play the same 3 or 4 guys the entire campaign, and probably the entire war.
You're supposed to, right?
Yeah, right.
If someone gets killed,
you
they're
just
out of the
replace
campaign.
them. Yeah, and you just replace them.
Or you don't.
Well, true.
You're not supposed to, unless you might get guys. Replacements might come in on a die roll, but usually they don't, and you just that's really cool. You'll have a terrible score at the end of the campaign.
Yeah. Well, we lost a couple of guys on our mission, but that mission that started us out, man, it was long. There were 8 slots. Most of the missions are 3 to 5, 3 to 6.
5 or 6.
5 or 6. Okay.
There was like 3 or 4 of those in this campaign.
8. That was a long one. It was brutal, but it was fun. It took us probably a couple of hours to play it. Get all the rules down, set it up. We read through the rule book together. Yeah, there's a lot here. There's just a lot here. Is there anything you don't like about it?
No. What I don't... It's not that I don't like it, it's that you have to make sure that you're keeping track of the nuances of things. Oh, I have this ability that would have influenced something that I did earlier. Or,
isn't that the case, though, with every solo game you ever play? You always forget that one little thing that would have helped you. And
yes and no. Yeah. I feel like this one, it's a bit more susceptible to that just because there are so many cards.
So much, yeah.
It's really easy to forget that this environment card does this other thing because you're focusing on fighting over here and doing your little modifiers down here. It's easier because there's a lot.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like, and it was just because it seemed it's randomly, but it's like desperate randomness, is when the enemies spawn and they reinforce. You have to draw a numbered chit from a draw cup, and that numbered chit corresponds to one of your 4 or 5 soldiers, and I swear we kept drawing the same 2 numbers.
Yeah, so
and it's like the same...
People would get dogpiled.
Yeah, but it was like the same... I think each number had 3 or 4 instances,
3. And
I swear we kept drawing them out. I don't know, that was the only thing I thought, oh, come on. You should be able to say, after 2, maybe you kind of move on.
Well, and some of the cards were like, it attacks the nearest one. So
right, but that didn't happen a whole lot because we were together. We grouped together pretty well. The only other thing that I struggled with, but it was really thematic and really well done, was those frickin' suppressions from the environmental rolls.
Yeah, the environment's killer.
It snowballs, and there comes a point. How many turns in a row did a couple of our guys literally do nothing?
Yeah, quite a lot. And that impacted our game a significant amount. Yeah. Just the enemies started to pile up.
And I totally understand that, and I actually totally agree with it, because that environment just is punishing, but it's almost too much so. And there are cards that remove some of those suppressions for free. When you only have 1 or 2 actions, that totally takes up that guy's entire turn. And it just made it really tough.
Yes.
But, we should have killed some of those guys quicker. We should have gotten out of those more difficult environmental areas like that Fever 6 and Fever 8. We should have moved on.
Yeah.
We should have moved on, but
And
we
that
kind of
was-
drug.
That was our bad for following up those with really bad cars
Yep.
that were expensive to get into. So
Yep.
we slowed ourselves down.
So we learned, and I think next
Yeah.
time we'll be more choosy about what terrain we place when. Yeah, very good, though. I enjoyed this game a lot.
Yes. Again, there's a ton to play with. I mean, this box has so much stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's
It's really unreal.
between missions, objectives, guys, equipment.
Yeah,
This
it's
game
crazy.
will serve you well. There is a ton of expansions as well, which
Yeah.
is awesome. So you can tailor it to what you want, and that's the nice thing is, the Canadians are in their own deck. If you
really want to play those,
those,
you can buy them. The Chinese, you can buy the Chinese. You can buy. There's I think there was Anzac and Australian and.
Yeah, there's like a whole Korean
Yeah,
war.
yeah.
But they're all separate packs, so you can
Right.
pick and choose. You can
you
customize
could-
this game how you want to.
There are like
And I
45
think that's the big
expansions.
credit.
45 expansions.
Yeah.
It's unreal. And I don't know how to store it. I don't have a Foot Locker. Probably not going to buy a Foot Locker.
That's how they get you. You gotta get
I know, but it's just so many cards. I don't know where I'm going to put them. And we just don't have a lot of storage space.
Yeah, this is a
shelf space.
It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff here.
But I would give this game a very, very high mark. I really enjoyed it. This is a game you're going to spend $100, if not more, because you're going to get pack after pack after pack after pack after pack.
How much is the base game?
You know that I don't know. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Because we got this as a review copy,
Yeah.
right? I'm not sure. I probably should have looked that up. My guess is it's somewhere between $90 and $100 because there's so much stuff.
That's interesting. I'm gonna look that up.
I'm gonna have to look that up too. But it's crazy. But you're gonna spend that money here, and you're gonna get more out of this game than you do a lot of other war games. Frankly,
Yeah, it's a great solo game. People had said, "Oh, this is really really good. You should try this."
Yeah.
And it lived up to those expectations, I think.
Absolutely.
Like, it's this game, yep, I want to play this again and again and again, and I will.
yeah. So I know you already brought this up. You already talked about Rifles in the Ardennes, and you also talked about Fields of Fire and how they compare. If you had a choice, which would you play? Let's leave Rifles in the Ardennes out because that's an easy game. Between this and Fields of Fire, what would you?
I'm not going to answer that question. Because
Why not?
Because they are different. If I've got the time...
If you've got the time,
Fields of Fire...
so that's a qualifier.
Fields of Fire, I sit down for hours because I'm making sure I'm playing it right.
Yeah.
It just has a lot of stipulations to it. This is much easier to set up and play.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to hit the table more.
And I guess that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking.
I'm going to play this more, and I would recommend
Okay.
this probably to more people because of the
Right.
learning curve is not nearly as steep.
So if you really like that depth and you're really okay with reading, how many page rule book is that rule book?
But this one?
No. Fields of Fire.
That's like 50, 60.
Okay, and this is pretty big too, but the text is huge. There's lots of pictures.
Not nearly as big,
I would say my recommendation would be play this one if you really like this and you enjoy the depth. So yeah, I would say if you really like that complexity, that level of complexity, go for Fields of Fire. But if you're more into, I want to play more, I want to get more plays in, I think this is a more approachable
Yeah.
and playable. That sounds critical, and that's not what I'm trying to say.
No.
I know you're not trying to
No,
say that
this is
either.
easier for anyone to pick up.
Yeah.
This is not complex in that same way.
Right.
It's got a ton of stuff, but there's not really that many moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
The complexity is remembering this bit here, this bit here, this bit here.
Yeah.
And just you take your time, no big deal. It's a solo game. No one's rushing around
Right.
doing it, so you can make this as methodical as you want it to be.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be fun to play an entire campaign and do an AAR on each?
Yeah.
I mean, you could take pictures and it would be fun. It'd be fun. We used to do a lot of AARs with Combat Commander, but
with this one, you could see all the mess on the board. It's a hot mess right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot like a kind of a how to play with all the rules instructions, just so that you can see how it plays. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to take some time and set it up.
so you're going to do kind of a playthrough.
Yeah, it'll be like a semi-playthrough. I'll probably
Okay.
do a couple turns just to show you what it looks like. And
I would recommend you go ahead and do a full play.
Well,
people are going to want to see it out there.
We'll see.
Come on.
But I'll do that so that you can see not just like how to move, how to fight. We'll go through kind of the story of it and in the progression of a mission and what that might look like.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot to this game. A lot of initial setup, and if you cock up the setup, you're going to have a hard time on the board.
Yeah.
I think we did that too.
Probably.
Picking and choosing your weapons and equipment and who's holding what
Right.
can be very, very important in this one.
Yeah.
But all in all, this is a blast. I had a very fun time playing this. And I also, and I can't stress this enough, had a fun time playing this solo. No, co-op. Cooperative.
Yeah. No, I thought it was
I think
very
two
enjoyable.
players was a really good spot to play this
Yep.
with. And now most people are buying a solo game for the solo aspect.
Right.
This is a great solo game.
Well, and we've played other solo games where the co-op really isn't.
No.
You know, Pavlov's House, the co-op really, and we talked about this the other day, the co-op should be used mainly as a teaching tool.
Yeah, the co-op in that is cut
To
the
learn
board
the
in
game.
half, you do this bit, you do
Yep.
that bit. And that's kind of what this is. You just cut the forces in half.
You just have, I only control one or two guys, you control one or two guys.
But I think that works better
Agreed.
than cutting up duties and
Yeah.
some other games that they
Yeah.
have.
This is a great solo, but it also, I think, is a very, very, very good co-op.
A good two-player co-op,
Yeah. Two-player co-op. Yeah.
I think the more players
Doing
you have,
more, it's going to be tough.
I'd like to see... Yeah, it would just
Yeah.
be interesting to see more and more and more and how far
Yeah.
that would go. But
Yeah.
there's just endless possibilities with this, and I'm very excited to explore those. We
Yeah.
have a bunch of these little expansion packs just to play around with, and that's kind
Well,
of
and
where
we're gonna play tomorrow with our father-in-law. We're gonna at least play a game, a mission or two,
Yep.
and we'll learn more about it. We'll get more depth in it, and then you're gonna do some solo. I'm gonna do some solo, and
And I think this will be
fun.
right up his alley because he used to play the old squad leader. No, up front.
up front, yeah,
Which, whilst very different from this,
still uses
it's
some
that using guys going through terrain,
cards as terrain.
attacking each other.
Yeah,
So it's a similar
He'll pick it up, he'll get it.
style of game. It's not, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think he'll enjoy the tactical nature of it
Yeah.
and what that looks like in a
yeah,
game.
agreed.
So appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been a look at Warfighter Pacific World War II from DVG. I've been Alexander.
And I'm Grant.